You're tuned in to the Black People's Podcast with Breadman. You're tuned in to the Black People's Podcast with Breadman. I'm waiting on my green light. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit share, and make sure you hit subscribe. Bread Gang, stand up. I'm waiting on my green light. Again, you're tuned in. You're tuned in to the Black People's Podcast with Breadman. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit share, and make sure you hit subscribe. Let me do a sound check real quick. We're gonna have our special guest on, and I will be. Oh yeah, we're good. I will be bringing him on shortly. But until then, you're tuned in to the Black People's Podcast with Breadman. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit share, and make sure you hit subscribe. Let's go. What's the damn deal? You're tuned in. You're tuned in to the Black People's Podcast with Breadman. It's light work tonight. We got relatively light work tonight, but y'all know how I do. We can't get started till I get double digits. So I need you right now to hit that like button. I need you to share. Where are my mods? I need my mods checking in. And if you're new here, if it's your first time here, make sure you hit subscribe. Right? Is it or is it not Bread Gang? Power to the people. I'll say that one more time. I'll ask my Bread Gang one more time. Is it or is it not power to the people? You're tuned in to the Black People's Podcast with Breadman. Let's go.
Juice. The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
Facts.
You got that juice. You got the juice. You got the juice. You got that power. Yeah, power to the people. Yeah, all power to the people. Yeah, the power's in the people. In the streets mobbing, repping good over evil. Look, power to the people. Yeah, all power to the people. Yeah, the power's in the people. Burning and looting, repping good over evil. Look.
Look, the power's in the people. Should've asked for equity, but we rather be equal. Let my people go, Prince of Egypt, this the sequel. Could never give up the precious, watch them burn just like Smeagol, it's the Ock. Giving life like an Ankh. We went from Chaldea, but ended on Plymouth Rock. We went from Black Tulsa to Section 8 out and watch. Judas and the Black Messiah, them crackers, they want me shot. That's the truth too. Black man magic, I might hit they ass with voodoo. Took the Bible but left the land. Desmond Tutu, we only blind black at this point. Go grab your who's who. I rep that north side till I die, and that's a blues clue. Look, I ain't never want the recognition. All praises due, man. We in full submission. Now that I got your attention, you should know you got that juice too. Non-GMO, please don't let them people fool you.
Power, yeah, power to the people. Yeah, all power to the people. Yeah, the power's in the people. In the streets mobbing, repping good over evil. Look, power to the people. Yeah, all power to the people.
We're going to take our time tonight. You tune in to the Black People's Podcast. Let's go.
We're repping good over evil. Look.
Show starts in 30 seconds. If you're late, then it's your fault. You missed the train. It's a beautiful thing. You tuned in to the Black People's Podcast. It's a beautiful thing. You tuned in to the Black People's Podcast with Breadman. Huh? You tuned in to the Black People's Podcast with Breadman. I told y'all what we was doing in 2021. We are filming. We are shooting live. We are shooting live from the bread box. We're shooting live from the bread box, and I want to take the time to put some proper respect on our special guest this evening. Right? See, a lot of people, I know you've seen the YouTube videos of the Moors going into the right? The city courts, the state courts, the Supreme Courts, and raising hell, turning the system upside down on top of his head. We've seen these videos from the Moors time and time again. A lot of the Moors claim to have the answer. Citizenship, status. We're going to talk about it here tonight at the Black People's Podcast with Breadman. And again, you know, I like to bring you all the receipts, and I also like to bring you all expertise. So we're going to be sitting down. We're going to be sitting down talking to what I would call a expert on this particular topic. An expert on this particular topic. Can you tell the people who you are, sir?
I'm brother Mus'ab, Yasir Bey. Yeah, affectionately known as Freddie D.
Can you start over, sir? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm brother Mus'ab, Yasir Bey. Affectionately known as Freddie Jones. And I come out of the Motor Science Company about 13 years ago. My background is business management, recruiting, sociology, public policy, things of that nature. I'm glad to be here. It's a much needed topic, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate you inviting me on. This issue that definitely needs to be tackled and certain things that need to be demystified.
Okay, sir. If you don't, we're gonna get into some basics, right? And so the first question I want to ask you, sir, is where are you from?
I'm from northeast side of Houston, Homestead area. Was born in the Trinity Garden area, Cashmere Garden area, but we moved to the northeast side when I was about 4 years old. So I come out of the north side, got family in 5th Ward, Homestead, the whole north side, you know. I got family on the south side too, but we mostly reside on the north side, northeast side to be exact. But I greatly appreciate you having me on, brother. I've been waiting on having this conversation with you, man.
And no doubt. We're gonna get straight into it. Now, what I'm gonna do is tell you now. I'm gonna give you a disclaimer, a fair warning, right? Because I love you like a brother. But if there's any time during the interview, right, where you feel like you don't want to answer something or you feel like you need to take a break, you be sure and let us know, okay? I want to follow up with the question. So you say you're from Houston, Texas, North Side, right? Were you raised in with both parents or in a single parent home? Can you talk about your upbringing, please?
I had a village, brother. My mom, she was active. Roots in the Black Panthers. My dad, Nation of Islam. He was in my life. I had a village. I had brothers. I had uncles. I had a whole village coming from every dynamic. You know what I'm saying? From the Christian background to Muslim background to, it was a pretty eclectic village that raised me. So it was really balanced. Even though we didn't have much, we had a lot of support, and we just come from a big family.
Now, we know you, or I know you, and we're going to and this is your introduction to the people, but I know you from being a full-fledged Moor. But I had the privilege of growing up with you, so I know, right? I know for a fact that it wasn't always this way. You used to run rapid with the streets with me as a young bull, tearing up the streets. They did not know you as Mr. Mus'ab Bey. They didn't know you as that. So can you talk to the people about how your transition came about from being a young, reckless, wild young black man in the streets like myself into coming into knowledge and becoming and calling yourself a Moor? Can you talk to us about your transition, sir?
But look, this is the thing, man. I come from a family that was educated, carpentry, lineage and sharecropping, so I always knew better. Even when we was out wilding out, we always knew better. And we were always different. Our minds was never local. You know what I'm saying? We always thought different. We always saw the big picture. And plus, we had the advantages of traveling when we were younger. You know, going to Florida, Atlanta, we saw the world. I was always active in community service and involved in different fraternities or different groups, you know, with for the streets or different organizations. You know, early on in college, I was a part of the NAACP chapter in Beaumont. I was a part of the Black Student Association in college. You know, my background is business management, economic, micro, macro, political science, you know. We always knew better, you know, even though we were a product of where we came from, you know, we always knew better, you know. So it was always there, you know. It just began to burgeon a little bit more as we went to college and, you know, got around brothers that grew up in the like-minded households, you know. Shout out to my man Dave Stunts, Killer Corleone's manager. I'm rocking his gear right now. Thanks for caring. We got an event coming up Sunday, showing up Judas and the Black Messiah. Looking forward to that. And I want to give a shout out to the Gentleman's History Hour podcast. Good brothers. They're providing a counterweight to a lot of the opprobrium being spewed about African American history. They're adjusting it. I'm a part of that at times to time, you know, come on and do a regular guest, and I want to give a shout out to those brothers. I want to give a shout out to Breadman too, for raising the bar and staying on these brothers' necks constantly.
I think that deserves a round of applause. I think that deserves a round of applause.
None of this happens in a vacuum, bro. I mean, we're here for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like mind, A alike, be alike, you know, like minds find each other, you know. And a lot of the things that we do, you know, it's time for us to kind of cross-pollinate because we got a lot of access to resources. And it's kind of rare because we're in these spaces right now in our lives and our careers that we need to connect and synthesize this stuff. So, you know, I'm glad to, you know, be on this platform and be able to talk about the Moorish paradigm because it's a paradigm that we need to really, really sink our teeth into.
No, stay right there. We're definitely going to get into the Moorish paradigm. Salute to the chat. Salute to D Mecca. Salute to me, in me, right? Salute to my Mars. Let's get those numbers up. Make sure you hit like, make sure you share, and make sure you subscribe. Now, the beautiful thing about this podcast is I'm basically coming at this from a Moorish 101 type of point of view, right? So I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, right? Almost like I'm going to say this a lot of times. Talk to me like I'm an 8-year-old. So I will say that when we were coming up, one thing different that I saw about you, right? We would go to, you know, these basketball tournaments and everything, and you know, I would come over your house sometimes, and I would see either your elders around your home, or I would see pictures, and sometimes I would even see you and your brother in a tall maroon hat with a tassel. And I never knew what it was about, right? Because we was young. I could never quite grasp what was going on there, but I knew that it was something different, and it always felt like it was a secret. So can you talk to me finally, right, as we're older now, can you talk to me and my audience, right, about what was the tall maroon hat with the tassel about?
That's a great question. I like that. That's called a fez. It's a headdress. A lot of people call it a hat, but it's a headdress. And the tassel that swings from a fez, it represents degrees, and it swings around the fez at 360 degrees. That's 360 degrees of knowledge. We were wearing that young because we had parents that were involved in certain movements, you know.
And so. Can you name specifically what some of these movements were? Because I'm just gonna throw some names out there. Was it Masonic? Was it let's just start there. Was it Masonic, sir?
It was a motley of different things. We had uncles in secret societies, Freemasonry. We had uncles in the 5% Nation. It was just I grew up really. I had the benefit of having an eclectic household, a great motley of different people in different organizations. Like I said, my dad was FOI. Mom was a supporter and a part of the Black Panthers. My uncles got me into the Nation of Islam early, to the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, and a couple of my uncles were a 5% Nation because they went through a breakaway from getting out of the Christian paradigm, because my grandmother was largely Christian, but she wasn't one of the spooky Christians. She was the Christians that used to still had the African rootedness in her, you know, still knowing how to heal, still having some of that shaman, you know, healer type of thing in her. So, you know, all we really did was kind of synthesize everything and put it together, and that's how I ended up where I'm at now, because we were raised really, really in a propitious situation in terms of the individuals we was raised by, you know. Some of everything, brother, some of everything.
All right, okay, we do appreciate that light introduction again. This is going to be hopefully a reoccurring guest, so we're definitely going to be revisiting that childhood, because I have some stories, some stories. But we're gonna stop right there, and we're gonna get into the meat, right? So again, talk to me like an 8-year-old, because I hear a lot about the Moors temple, right? And when I see these, when I do research, right, and when I try to do the knowledge, I see visuals of Moors banging in the courtroom, right, turning the criminal justice system upside down on top of his head, bucking the system legally, and I get a rise out of it every time. But from what I know, there is a lot more to the Moors. So can you please give us a basic definition from your standpoint of what being a Moor is and what being a Moor is about?
Let's rewind, because you see a lot of brothers in court, a lot of brothers standing up on their square and on law, and all that's a part of it. But bottom line is, if you're ADOS, or Foundational Black American, or African American, or descendant of Africans, in this country, even in the West, you're a Moor, for the most part. Being a Moor, what was referred to as Moors, is what we would call a black person today. Like, you say, okay, he's black, but we got to get into the term black. We'll get into that later. But it's like any swarthy or dark-skinned person that's come from North Africa, Northwest Africa, or West Africa, and all the surrounding countries, from Ghana to Nigeria to Tripoli to Tunis. Our bloodline and our DNA comes from that portion of Africa, because as we know, the slave trade took place, came through South America on up to the Caribbean islands, and on up to America. So our bloodline extends back to that directly, the Caribbeans, the Virgin Islands, Colombia, which has the biggest African continuity in America. But our bloodline goes to that all the way back to West Africa, Northwest Africa, Northeast Africa, and in those surrounding countries and towns. So when you do your DNA test, a large portion of people of African American descent are rooted back there. That's what's known as the Moors. So when we saying Moors, we're saying brothers and sisters from Africa, West Africa, Northwest Africa. So just to kind of put that in context. So whether you're from Algiers or Tunis, when you were caught by Europeans and you were placed into slavery, you were recognized as a Moor. So once you go back and look at some of the old slave records, like in some of the ports like Virginia or New Orleans, that was a big port. Some of the records show that they were trading 10 Moors for maybe 2 Indians. This is before the term black came into play. Now, the term black came into play in the mid-1600s to break up labor solidarity. So the black and white thing is just a myth. It was just a way to arrange a certain caste system, a social control, a social hierarchy, you know. because it was a war called the Bacon's Rebellion, where they saw quote unquote blacks and whites fighting together to rebel. They didn't like it, so they wanted to fix that because they saw how powerful that was. So they came up with the term black and white as a deremption or a separation so that we would never fight again with Europeans and have this uprising. And this is how you get into labor. But it was there for the labor solidarity. But this delves directly into Noble Drew Ali's teaching, because he's tell the brothers that you're not black or white, you're not Negro colored or Ethiopian, you're Moors. Before they hit you, like you say, I love when you say the oopty-wop, to be able to break up the consciousness to get you to forget your roots in the Moorish paradigm. So they ended up blotting out the Moorish Empire, the Moorish paradigm, so they say, okay, the Islamic Empire. And they replaced it with terms like the Islamic Empire. But the question you have to ask is, who was running Northwest Africa, North Africa, and West Africa at the time of the slave trade? And in the books, resoundingly is going to say the Islamic Empire. And what is the Islamic Empire? The Moorish Empire. But we can go a little deeper on how the Moorish title was stripped from us. Because it was stripped from us. It was a decision made to not ever call us Moor again. And then we get into this sardine thing.
No. Stop right there, because I was asking you earlier, and I guess it's a good question. And we're going to take our time here. We're going to take our time here. I might keep this live up, but we're definitely going to put the rebroadcast out. We're going to take our time. We're producing. Y'all know how we do it here. I was talking to you earlier, right? And I was asking you, so I want to ask you in front of the people, is being a Muslim a prerequisite to being a Moor, or is being a Moor a prerequisite to being a Muslim? Is Moor a religion, and is the religion Muslim? Can you talk to us, you understand, a little bit more about the particulars as far as being Moor and then the religion of Moor?
That's a great question, because a lot of people get it conflated. Religion is religion. Religion is a science. You can be Irish and you can be a Muslim. You get what I'm saying? You can be, that could be your faith. That's what I'm saying. You could be a Christian, but you can be a British Christian. You could be a Moor, but you could be a Moorish Christian. The reason why that Moor is synonymous with Muslim, because we were largely Muslims at the height of our reign, 800, 900 years ago. You're talking about 711 and on up to 1400, before we were converted into Christianity. Being a Moor is not being a Muslim, but it was well known that 9 times out of 9, that if you was a Moor, you were a Muslim in 711. That when they spoke of, say, we caught 10 Christians, you knew in your mind that they talking about quote unquote white people or Europeans. When they say that they kidnapped 10 Muslims, in your mind, you at that time, you would know that they were talking about they were talking about Moors. So it's kind of hard to try to look at ancient things with modern eyes. Whenever you do your research and you're studying timelines, time is very important. So you got to put on different lenses when you're looking at ancient things. And that goes into the medieval. But you had Moors that were Christians, and they call them Moriscos. It was a slight back then to be called a Morisco. Because you're a Moor, but when they say that you're a Morisco with this insular attitude or smugness, it was like you're a Christian Moor, you were converted into Christianity. Because they knew that we were largely Muslims and largely Jews, or Judaism, under the creed of Judaism. So, no, being a Muslim is not being a Moor, but at that time, at the height of, at the apotheosis of civilization, when the Moors reigned, it was under the Islamic creed. And it was guided by the light of Islam, the science and creed of Islam.
Now we're gonna take a small pivot, right? We're gonna come back here, right? Because I like getting the that's what I call you dropping receipts. You understand? You're giving us valid receipts, the building blocks to the more simple, and we can appreciate that, right? We can appreciate that. But let me allow me to take you like I like to say, to a spot a little bit more sinister, right? I'm going to put my my display screen up, okay? And I'm going to my display screen, and what I'm gonna do is just briefly, I'm just gonna give people just a taste, right, of how I discovered the mall. I'm playing a video, right, just in case you can't see it, but it's a video entitled "Moors," right, in court. Got the judge shook. I want to play just a smidget, a smidget of this to show the people, give the people a look of the Moors in action. Let's go.
Ma'am?
Yes?
Did you not just hear me?
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. I was trying to get the paperwork together.
Okay.
Can you wait a moment till I'm finished?
No, I'm going to review myself. I'm here on the time, man.
Okay, hold on.
All right.
I'm trying to get all these papers together.
So it's a simple question. I'm sure you can answer it while you get your papers together.
I cannot get them together. I can't answer. This only has 3. Okay. This has 3 counts?
So he told her he was going to allow the judge to get her paperwork together. The Moors in here letting his nuts hang already. Pay attention, y'all.
All right. Noble Amir KCL. You complained about discovery. I think I've addressed that. I'm giving you the copies of the indictments, and you said you've never been interviewed. I am sure that Mr. Kiesler can give you now a date for you to be interviewed.
Objection, ma'am. I do not require the Office of Public Defense or any attorney at law.
Well, you told me that you were complaining that you hadn't been interviewed.
No, what I stated was, if he was representation on this case, he has not provided assistance. If he was representation for this case, the assistance is ineffective.
Well, my understanding is that Judge Smith has required Mr. Kiesler to represent you.
Objection. I've addressed this matter with Judge Smith. Judge Smith does not have jurisdiction and could not prove jurisdiction. Therefore, Judge Smith does not have the authority to make any decisions for me. And neither do you. And neither does Mr. Kiesler, and neither does the Office of Public Defense. For the record. Now, as I stated, you just told me that you did not hear my question. My question was, I need the information for the people here who are attempting to force business on me. I want his name and position, I want her name and position, and I want his name and position. And I want your nationality.
Not to point at me, and I am now going to ask you not to point at anyone else in the courtroom. It is very impolite.
No problem, ma'am. Now I'm asking you to answer my question.
You know my name. That is all you need to know.
I don't know your name, ma'am.
Judge Laban. That is my name.
Your nationality?
You have no need to know my nationality.
Yes, I do. You are attempting to force business upon me. I need to know your nationality. For the record. And your status.
I'm going to stop.
For the record. And anybody else?
I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to stop right there. That's a perfect time to bring my OG in, because you gotta break down what's going on here, because this is what I know the Moors for banging in court. You understand what I'm saying? Dragging these niggas in court on the main stage, right? Can you talk to us a little bit more about this? Because I got my opinion about this, but I want you to talk to me and the people about this.
We can't look at, first of all, I want to give a shout out to El Amir. That's El Amir. And he's in court with my brother Mansa Bay, brother Mansa. I did that show early last year. We did the Kingmaker show, and we talked about some of that stuff. That was back in 2009. They were kind of the vanguards of the status correction thing. They are the vanguards of the status correction thing. From there, you get the offshoots of what you're talking about. But they were standing on their square the right way, and they were arguing status, right? Or if the judge had venue, the right venue, or did she have a right to be able to, when he asked her about her nationality, he was standing on treaty law. Treaty law supersedes the Constitution, because even in the Constitution it says all treaties and agreements made before the enactment shall be the supreme court, the supreme law of the land, as well as the Constitution. Now, what those brothers were doing back then is kind of different on what's going on now. It's been heavily popularized of what they're doing, and now it's a lot of factions that come of white supremacy that come to try to stop that, because that got like maybe over 5 million views. So we're not the only ones looking at that. You feel me?
Because we never, I had never, up until that point, I had never seen anything like that before, other than Ted Bundy. I think he was a serial murderer that represented himself, but around this time I started to see these Moors go into the court, representing themselves, claiming some kind of status that they claimed made them immune to certain kind of, I guess, technologies that the courts were used to pulling off on regular black people. But then I saw these people, these Moors, coming in saying, yo, I'm not these niggas you be coming in trying to hit the oopty-wop with. I'm establishing status, and also I need to know your status, because if you ain't got no status, we ain't even got no business here. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that? That shit.
Let's keep it 100, man. We were establishing status way when we were getting out of slavery. You get what I'm saying? When you go look at the Sundry Free Moors Act, Google the Sundry Free Moors Act. It was a group of 4 brothers that got caught up in England, slave traded to America, and had to work themselves out of slavery. They saved up enough money to buy themselves out of slavery and their wives. The first thing that they went to go do was to go to the courthouse, fresh out of slavery, to establish their status, to say that if we get caught and if any type of conflict happened between us and Europeans or us and quote-unquote white people, that we wouldn't be judged on a second standard of law. The Negro laws are what they call, or what they use with us. The second standard of law is why we keep getting beat in court. But they went to go correct their status. That was 1700s. So what they were doing was kind of bringing that back, because it wasn't nothing new. In South Carolina, the first thing brothers would do when they buy themselves out of slavery, they go to the courthouse to make sure that they don't get hit with the oopty-wop. The oopty-wop being the Christian Black Codes of 1724, where they judge you from being a Negro because a Negro didn't have any standard at law, any stance at law. That's why they had this thing called civil liter mortuus. And civil liter mortuus means dead in the eye or in the view of the law. They didn't consider us full human beings.
So in this time, and that's a great introspect, brother. I had no idea about this. So you're saying this is not nothing new. We were doing this in order to ensure that we had our freedom when it was given to us. But let me ask you a question. So when we would go as slaves to establish our status, right, to make sure that our paperwork and our freedom shit was good, what was the status? What were the Moors coming to the court and saying? Were they saying, yo, I'm a white man, I'm an American? Like, what was the status that they were claiming in when they were coming?
Well, they wanted to put their freedom papers on file. That I got my freedom papers, we need to make sure we enter this into the record, so whenever I'm caught up or whatever may occur, because y'all was throwing all type of shit on us like they do now, they can wake up tomorrow and say, hey, man, your shoelaces being untied is a ticket, and target black people, quote unquote black people. They wanted to make sure that they didn't get caught up in no bull crap. Now, back then, they didn't know that they were Moors in the 1700s or the 1800s, in the early 1800s when they established their freedom. What they were bringing, and what the brothers Elamir, the Moors in court, Mansa and Elamir were bringing, was where we fell at before slavery. We were Moors. You can't get up where you didn't fall at. You get what I'm saying? So know the brothers that back then in the 1800s, 1700s, 1600s, buying themselves out of slavery, wasn't going to the courtroom saying that I'm a Moor. They were saying, well, I'm a free black man or a colored man or whatever the term of the day was, because they went through certain phases. At one point we was colored, at one point we was race man, Negro, or whatever the case may be. But they were basically trying to make a claim for status to be able to be treated on the same footing as a quote-unquote white person back in those times. That you won't hit me with the flim-flam when I get up in here. They say, okay, the Dred Scott decision, the black man has no rights that any white man can respect. And that's like the 1800s. You know what I'm saying? They were trying to avoid all of that because they understood the grift that was going on. So now back then, no, they wasn't talking about, hey, I'm a Moor or whatever, but we still talking about a form of status correction. So when I hear brothers act like they don't know what status correction is, we already been doing it. They have the Negro slaves in South Carolina book. You can look at all that. I mean, it's already on document that the first thing that they would do was run to the courts to get certain things adjusted, because it had the Christian black codes. You had the black codes. You had the second standard of law. You had Negro laws. So, yeah, they were going to correct their status. What the brothers were doing here is to say, hey, look, my status was never black or colored. That was the status you gave me. We're Moors. This is what we felt like. You knew what we were. It's in your treaties. You have a treaty with Morocco. You got a treaty with Tunis, Tripoli, all of that. They know who we are. You know what I'm saying? They have the song from the shores of Montezuma to the halls of Tripoli. They know, you know. They know full well when they went to get these people that they subjugated, because I don't even like the term slave, because that's the root, the etymology of that is Slavic, and that's Europeans. But I would like to say when we were reduced to bond labor or reduced to servitude or debt, peonage, the first thing that they would do was to strip us of that title or that term Moor. So it's kind of like, I liken it to having a can of sardines. Those can of sardines are not all sardines. They're a school of different fishes. They're all small fishes, but once they get caught, they just call them sardines. So once you get caught, you just call a Negro or a nigger.
Very, very beautiful introspect there. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show the people some images, and I'm gonna ask you some questions about these images, because I still have questions about the images I'm about to show. I hear stories, you know, but I never had a chance to ask anybody, you know, I guess who had the historical facts. So let me make sure I get these images up. Let me take this down. Let's go to my display screen. There we go. We're on our display screen. And I'll just describe to you some of the images I'm going to display. These are historical images, right? You know, these are my receipts. You know, we like to come with the receipts here at the Black People's Podcast. So the first image I'm going to show the people, right, is a white woman with and clarification, the setup here. We are in the medieval times. Okay, we are in the medieval times, the Black Plague, when the world was factually on the brink of distinction. And so what I'm looking at is a picture with a pure white bottle, milk or magnesia, holding a baby bottle of Milka magnesia, right? And there are other white people surrounded around this ritual, which looks to be a christening of some sort, a baby baptism. But what sticks out is a black man smack dead in the middle in illustrious garment, a very, what I would call, high grade garment, as if he is he looks special. A black man in the middle of a picture of all white people. in the middle of medieval times, and I would see these pictures, and I would always wonder, who is this black man, and what does he have to do with these white people christening? Is he the priest? Why the fuck is he there? Because he doesn't look like a slave. So now that I got you here, right, can you talk to us, right, about this picture I'm looking at? Because I know you know.
Well, that's why I say you can't look at ancient things with modern eyes. You got to know what's going on at that time. And if it's medieval, then he wasn't a slave, 9 times out of 10. And then slavery was viewed different then. It wasn't the same type of slavery that we knew 250 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like being indentured or whatever. But back then, if he was in Europe and it's the medieval and he wasn't a slave, he was probably 9 times out of 10 an important figure. Now, we had Moorish priests or Moorish people that was in the priesthood and Roman priesthood that was Moors, named Alfonso, away from the Muslim names. Important figures. We were always important figures in Europe for those 900,000 years that we were there. But I'm glad you said medieval time, because that's a very important time frame. Now, when you say that the world was in a dark age, no, it was Europe in the dark age. America, West Africa, Egypt wasn't in the dark age. China wasn't in the dark age. It was a dark age that fell upon Europe. Okay, so that's like a common misconception of when we talk about dark age. It wasn't like the world was in the, no, they were in the dark age. They were ass backwards. They were these troglodytes running around in this heathenistic fashion. You get what I'm saying? So the Moors came in to remedy a situation because they were a part of the globe, and it had that spread it, that type of backwardness spread it. You know, we had to contain it.
So let me ask you a question, because and thank you again, brother, man, for your introspect on this topic. So and I just want to make sure, is this how the one black man ends up in a, I guess, as a minority in a sea of black people, or a group of white people, but he's like I said, right there about to hold the person's baby. So I mean, was he encountering racism at this time, or was he held in high regard? Like, because I'm trying to figure out. He's clearly just like, if I went to Harvard, or if I went to, you see what I'm saying? If I went to Walmart, a certain Walmart, I would be the same nigga in a sea of white people, but I know how I would be treated. Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, what was the atmosphere when they came to shore, when they came into these type of situations?
You can't look at modern eyes, ancient things with modern eyes. The Moors always played a very vital role in European development. So even if you had a European king in the Sea of White Kings, a lot of times his advisor would be a Moor. They'd tell him what to do or tell him how to run it. Because we come from a legacy where we set up jurisprudence. We set up these universities in Europe. So a lot of times when you see these dark faces in this milk of magnesia, sea of milk of magnesian faces, those people played very important roles, such as their picture. Such as when you see George Washington with the little boy on a horse, or whatever the case may be, the boy is probably teaching him how to ride a horse. Because we were so advanced that the Moorish kids was teaching the European adults how to do things. So when you see photos like that, you kind of got to look at it with your ancient lens. Racism as it exists today wasn't racism that. They didn't have racism then. Racism is a scion of slavery. It's a child of slavery. It comes over a period of time of people thinking they're better than you. Because when the slave trade popped off, it was just about capitalism, about getting free labor. That's it. But after a time of living good, so good and so high on the hog, that you begin to think that you're really better than you. Then you start getting these professors and shit to legitimize the hierarchy. So they try to use science to say, okay, well, your cranial size is or your skin tone is, or the reason your physical being and the way your bones are structured makes you a slave. They were just trying to kind of buttress the fact that they wanted to keep you in perpetual servitude.
Because they're definitely going to roll with what works for you. You got to capitalize off of what works for you. But my question to you is, and now I'm tapping in. You feel me? Now I'm tapping in. So my question to you is, was the Moor not aware, because the Moor was the traveling Moor, right? They traveled all across the globe. So at this point, could the Moor not foresee the white devils plan? Could the Moor not see the fuck shit that lied ahead? Could the Moor not look to Africa, or could the Moor not look to other regions and see how the white devil was coming out the Caucasus Mountains? You know what I'm saying? I keep it plain and simple. Could the Moors not see what was happening in order to say, yo, we got to stop giving these motherfuckers knowledge?
That's a good question. But I got to go back to what I've been saying. You can't look at ancient things with modern eyes. You go back to the Indians who let the Europeans in to trade with them and to give them shelters, these pilgrims, to help them out, to keep them from dying in the winter. Could they foresee? What I'm saying is, there's a lot of blue-eyed people that come in and with this forlorn look, and you will help, because that's what we do. That's what the Moors have done. We go to places that make it better. If you have a potato famine, then we come and show you how to till the land and turn over the soil. Could the Moors, back to your question, could the Moors see that happening? No, probably not, because they were in a desperate situation. You know, they were on the brink of extinction with the Black Plagues and things of that nature. So, no, at that time it was kind of different, because we talk about 400 years of slavery. We occupied there 800 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's nothing in comparison to 800 years of being there. We had 4 empires there. You know what I'm saying? So we had different power shifts, different fights, different whatever. And no, it didn't express itself. Certain things got to come out in the span of time to show people who they really are. People don't act like evil conquerors when they're in a position of immiseration and they're living in squalor. They're on their best behavior when they're asking for something from you. You know what I'm saying? Until they get on, they get on their note. You know what I'm saying? They start balling again, and then they become who they really are. You know what I'm saying? So, no, they couldn't foresee that at that moment. It was probably smattering or rivulets of it, but at that time, when you place yourself in that moment, no, because it was a couple of different power shifts going on. You got Moors coming in, amalgamating with Europeans, taking on Europeans' attributes and culture like Christianity. No, we wasn't largely Christian, but when we went to medieval Spain, Granada, or Italy, Ireland, then cultures swap out. We can't be here as African Americans and not our culture rub off on them and their culture rub off on us. Any people that come here, we eat Chinese food at the Chinese restaurant. Everybody's cultures rub off on each other. So, of course, they ended up getting lethargic and lazy, our ancestors, and then they would, hey, let me see what this God is working with. Oh, you say Jesus? Oh, you know what I'm saying? Because we're mixing in with these people. So you had some people that become more discos or embrace the Christian paradigm and eating pork. And you know what I'm saying? When it was largely outlawed in Spain. And the Zimmerman guy that does the Travel Channel, and he goes to different places to eat. It was one episode where he said for 400 years when the Moors occupied Spain, they outlawed pork. But over time, you start losing that, and you amalgamate with different Europeans, and you kind of lose your tradition. There's no different than Yoruba tribe or the Hausa people coming over here from Nigeria who bring certain cultures here, but then they adopt certain things here from being an American, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? So when you amalgamate, it's different. And I'm going to put a pin in that. The first time I was called a Moor, it was by an Irish woman. So what me talking about this kind of reminded me, bring me back as I cogitate on it more, is when I was in college, I met an Irish woman named Denise Murphy. Murphy, of course. I would show her I taught her how to drive a stick shift. I taught her a lot of stuff, because she was fresh from Ireland. So there was a lot of things that she didn't know. I taught her how to drive a stick shift. I taught her how to change oil. Certain things that she, because she was real down to earth. She used to kick it with the brothers and, play basketball with us. But one day I asked her, I said, you guys have black people? This is when I was 18. Yeah, guys have black people in Ireland? She said, yeah, and we used to call you guys Moors. And you saved our lives because we had a potato famine. At that time, I didn't even know anything about it.
I know.
You get what I'm saying? So this is how
I know all about the potato famine when they was sitting in them goddamn hills, starving, waiting on a potato to spout out the ground. These are my dreams. I take refuge in this truth. Go ahead, though.
Exactly, but you see, she was telling me and admitting to me that we were known for helping them. They had nothing but honor and respect for us. They had a high level. They lionized us.
So stop right there again. I get to the cracks of crevice because now I have a picture up where there's because I got two questions. There's a black woman, and it seems that this is a black woman, and she's talking to a king or damn near a Roman pope. So if you're talking to a pope, you're talking to the main motherfucker in that time. It almost seemed like she's checking this thing. So the first question is, I want to ask you about the black woman's role, right, in the Moorish temple. You understand what I'm saying? And then just a very basic, very, very basic question. Number two, they were dying in their own, as you say, in their own squalor. Yeah. They didn't know shit about sanitation. They didn't know how to wipe their ass. They didn't know what to do with the shit that came out of it. They ate at the table with their own cattle. Yeah. So my question to you is, what moved the original black man, the so-called Moor, to come to the aid or the rescue of this so-called white devil? Because there seems to be a pattern in history. We always want to say that white man, that white girl, we always want to help somebody. Yeah. What moved the Moors to extend their hand and give up the knowledge, right, to save these people when they most needed us in the medieval times in the Black Plague?
I want to keep going back to the motif that I've been saying. You can't look at ancient things with modern eyes. At the time, what was going on there, and you got to understand the politics, and it's a book called The Moors in Spain. The reason why I keep going back to quit trying to look at ancient things with modern eyes. You got to study the medieval. You got to study 1700s. You got to study the 4 AD. You got to study these times and understand the direction or the differentiation between a 711 and a maybe 100 or maybe BC to kind of know what was going on at the time. Now, you can read in the Moors of Spain of the politics that led the Moors to come up into and take over, or what they say invade, I hate that term, but invade Spain and Italy and Europe. But for the most part, the way that they were living was detrimental, and it was, I would say, pernicious to the world. You know what I'm saying? So if you got feces that's stacking up and it's 6 inches thick and it becomes roads, or you have these sores on your bodies, because you know the little song "Ring Around the Roses, Pocket Full of Posies, Ashes, Ashes, We All Fall Down," that was talking about the Black Plague in Europe. But yeah, we teach our kids this shit, right? But they were talking about the sores that would develop on the Europeans' bodies. Ring Around the Roses is the sores. Pockets Full of Posies was because the bodies stunk so much that they had these roses called posies, or a type of flower that smells good, to try to cut the effluvia of this nasty smell. Ashes, they all fall down. They were just dropping dead. The ashes, they were just burning the bodies. They didn't have a burial process. We came in and changed all that. Now, from my studies and what I suspect from the medieval time is these diseases came about of being uncleanly. Eating at the table with your cattle, being at the table with your pig, eating your whatever porridge or whatever they was eating. You know what I'm saying? With these exotic creatures. And, you know what I'm saying? With these exotic creatures at the table. The Moors had to say, hey man, you can't do that shit. You gotta keep your animals outside in the pen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you want them to lick you in your face, but no, we're eating right now. we're eating right now. You get what I'm saying? We had to come break all of that shit. Not only that, we had to teach them science, navigational tools, how to turn over the soil on these fallow land, till the soil, irrigation systems, all of this stuff that was laying fallow and dying. We had to jumpstart this shit. At the intro of Stanley Lane Poole's book called The Moors in Spain, they intro the book saying, if the Moors hadn't failed, the world would be 1,000 years more advanced. Had we not underwent slavery and we could have kept that progress up, then we would probably be building cities on the moon right now. We would be 1,000 years ahead because we failed. A lot of things got cut. They burned a lot of books. They burned a lot of knowledge to get rid of the history of the Moors. Pope Innocent II said that we finna strip you of this title Moor. So now we sitting up here talking about Moor and what is a Moor and all, and like this is like some type of anomaly when they have it in the records in Philadelphia, in Independence Hall, in a Library of Congress. They know exactly who we are. You get what I'm saying?
So let's go in now. Now I'm finna get you in the zone. You good? I want to get in probably about 20, 30 more minutes. You good? Okay, so we about to go in. So what I want to know, let me get this down real quick. What I want to know is, you understand? Salute to all the Moors out there. You feel me? Salute. What I want to know is, and I got a question too. You know, I'm gonna say that for last. What I want to know is, damn, it was just on the top. It was just on the tip top of my motherfucking brain. There we go. Noble Jew Ali. Right? Yeah. I know. I see you perking up. He fixing his glasses and shit. Y'all see him? He fixing his glasses. He getting all perked up and yeah. Noble Jew Ali. Right? My question, OG, is if the Moors was it had been a thing, right? It is a thing. We've been here. What made Mr. Noble Jew Ali so special as a Moor? Why did his message, what was so different about his message than all the other Moors? Did he do something particularly different? Like, talk to us about Noble Jew Ali, and you understand what I'm saying? And what pushed him to transcend, you understand what I'm saying? And bring that message versus all the other Moors that had been here. Why does he stand out so much amongst all the other Moors?
Yeah. Noble Jew Ali movement, the Moorish Science Temple movement was, I would say, concomitant or co-evolves to the Marcus Garvey movement. So they were around at the time, Marcus Garvey, even though Marcus Garvey started before him. But Noble Drew Ali is important because he was the first one to get Islam sanctioned and recognized, Islamic movement sanctioned and recognized by the federal government, the White House. There's no movement before, Islamic movement before Moorish Science Temple. This is very important because that's why Farrakhan, Wesley Muhammad, they give props to, Elijah Muhammad always gave full props to Noble Drew Ali because he started the Islamic, he had a charter and he started the movement. Yeah, we had Muslims here already enslaved. They couldn't practice their shit or had to do it in secrecy or whatever the case may be, as slaves. But he was the one to organize it and create a Moorish Science Temple. Being a part of the Moorish Science Temple doesn't make you a Moor. What Drew Ali was trying to bring you back into what you were already are and teach you the concept of nationality, the concept of this moving together as a nationhood, the concept of Islam. So he would teach it through Jesus parables because we was fresh out of slavery and that's all we knew was Jesus. So we give you the Jesus stories because Jesus was our brother man and he was, you know what I'm saying, he was a brother and he was giving you these hidden lessons of Jesus, but he was hankering towards or angling towards a certain paradigm. Drew Ali was important is because he was the first one to establish an Islamic movement and he was organizing around that. He in the Moorish Science Temple movement was the ones that voted Oscar Dupriest in Chicago, the first black, I want to say he was a senator, but they rallied behind him and got him in, Oscar Dupriest. Oscar Dupriest, a politician, has pictures with Noble Drew Ali. You know what I'm saying? He's important because he was taking a group of people, they called themselves black, Negroes, colored, and he created an organization that was recognized by the government to bring us into, teach us how to love and not hate, teach us the laws of Islam, teach us how to organize and rally from a political standpoint. When he faded and he transitioned, then you get the rise of the Nation of Islam. And here's a little fun fact. The early members of the Nation of Islam was largely came out of the Moorish Science Temple after Noble Drew Ali passed. So they let you know what's what. You get what I'm saying? Or what preceded what or whatnot. But Noble Drew Ali is important because he's an historical figure that was around teaching the Moorish history early, before you get a Dr. Ben, a Dr. John Henry Clark, even my brother that did Sex and Race, J.A. Rogers. He was around in 1923, 1915. You know, he went from the old Canaanite temple to the Moorish Temple of Science to the Moorish Science Temple, because it was a link between the Canaanite and the Moabites or the Moors. But he was setting the stage and getting you ready for the knowledge of being a Moor. So he was teaching that early in more of a bird feeding mechanism because of the brothers was fresh out of slavery. They were 40 years removed. You know what I'm saying? Like some of those people had experienced slavery even in 1915.
So when we talking about Noble Drew Ali again, we turning up these you know what I'm saying? Again, the questions are going to become more and more intense and more specified because I want to learn, and hopefully people can learn, you know, from these that I'm gonna be putting out. So when I think about Noble Drew Ali and I think about the you know, the Moorish Temple, there's a vision that comes in my head. Something about it was there's confusion, if I'm not mistaken, whether it's the Quran. Is it a Quran? There's a 7 with a circle around it, and sometimes people debate on where this came from and who gets precedence over this piece of literature. Can you educate? You know what I'm talking about. Talk to us.
I'll make it plain for you. In the Moorish Science Temple, you have the Circle 7 Quran, or you have the Holy Quran with a circle, a broken up circle in 4 parts with a 7. We call it the Circle 7, but it's the Holy Quran with the 7 in a circle, a broken up 4-cornered circle in it. Drew Ali prepared that, and these are missing stories of Jesus that he was describing to the Moors that they were kept out of the Bible, because you know the Bible is chopped up and so many books left out. But he was saying the brothers in the East or India, somebody, they held these teachings in the initiatory systems that Jesus went through. He brought back that and called it the Holy Quran. It's not the Quran, because we know what the Quran is. Even at the back of the Holy Quran, Circle 7, it says that, I think when you open it up, it says that we get our authority from the Quran. You know, the actual Quran. He prepared that by taking the stories of Jesus and printing them out and giving it the Holy Quran. It's not the Quran, it's the Holy Quran for the Moorish Science Temple. It's specifically for the Moorish Science Temple to teach these brothers and sisters that there was more, to give them the old ancient stories of Jesus in some of the trials and tribulations in the places Jesus traveled that they didn't put in the Bible. Like Europe, like Africa, meeting with different sages and becoming a part of these initiatory systems.
So, just from listening, and just correct me if I'm wrong, are you saying that this piece of literature was brought to fruition from Noble Jew Ali? Okay, and then number two, are you saying that when you get down to the bare bones of it, in order for it to be, more, digestible to his audience and his people, it is almost a mixture or a blend of the Holy Bible, the Holy Bible story, and the Quran.
And that's what you got to understand, that the Quran has biblical stories. It has the story of Aaron in the Quran, because it's all the Abrahamic faith. So they're taking the same parables or the same stories, because the same stories in the Quran that's in the Bible. We talk about the same characters of Moses or Mus'ab. We call it Mus'ab. But what I'm saying is these are the same figures in it. So it's not like, okay, this is a Christian Bible. Jesus wasn't a Christian. He never said he was a Christian. You know what I'm saying? There was Judaism around when he was around. You know what I'm saying? They made him a Christian after a while, establishing the Christian faith. But my point is what he taught and the wisdom behind it. But what Drew Ali was doing is bringing a certain storyline of Jesus that was left out to the Moors for them to understand that Jesus was your brother, man. Jesus, because even in the Orthodox Islam, they're saying that we don't put no prophets over no other prophets. Jesus is just as important to us as Moses. In the Christian faith, Jesus is lauded. In the Roman Catholic faith, Mary is important. But in the Islamic faith, we don't put them on a hierarchy. All of them are important to us. What Drew Ali was doing is taking that, because brothers was coming out of Christianity to say, look, I'm going to give you Jesus, but I'm going to give you the missing stories of him that they tried to keep out, to show you the initiatory patterns and his travels and some of the lessons he got. And the reason why they kept it out, because he got those 18 missing years, and he's just filled in the blank on them. Again, not to say that this really happened, because I look at it as historical elements, not historical evidence. It's really to just teach a wisdom. It's the wisdom behind everything. Anything you read, you don't want to just take everything for face value. You want to get the wisdom behind it. I look at the Gilgamesh, the Greek mythology, is to get the wisdom behind it. It ain't for you to think that, okay, a man really had wings on his fucking back. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
They anthropomorphize certain things and make a wolf a human being, or give a wolf a characteristic. I'm not saying that's what the Bible do, but I'm saying is to flesh out a larger narrative to teach. Really, it was to teach kids, because we need to develop out of that shit too. But it was really to teach people in a certain manner. You know what I'm saying? That learns a certain way. To teach them and give them these parables or these stories. So they may have Jesus talking to his father, and he's giving them the rubrics of how to lay down a house in the foundation, because he was a carpenter, right? But he'll compare that to life. You know what I'm saying? You got to straighten the lines. You got to make sure the curves are this and that. You know what I'm saying? To make it even keel with your character. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, a lot of that shit was extracted from the Bible, but a lot of the Quran teaches is extracted from the Bible, or the Torah, which it was before the Bible. But we're talking about the Abrahamic faith. But in terms of Noble Drew Ali, he was important because he came at a certain time. He didn't invent anything. He was just bringing these ancient wisdoms and these lessons to the brothers, because they had been buried from us during slavery, and a lot of these things was held on to by certain people. So when we rose up, we get them back again to teach us who we were. You know what I'm saying? It was tough, but he was predicting that the 5th or 6th generation was going to get this shit, not them. Even in his teaching, he said, I didn't bring this for you. I bring this for the 5th generation. You know what I'm saying? And that's almost like us. This is why we having these conversations.
Now, I had planned into getting into way more sinister shit with you. But this is what happens when you get into when you sit down with an expert. It's gonna take time. So I'm gonna stick white where we are, and then I'll bring you. Would you mind coming back in the future? Beautiful, beautiful. So we'll end with this, right? And I'll let you take this over because this is a very interesting question that I have, and it's for a question for anybody, right, who claims to have expertise on something, for the black people. You feel me? And so salute to you. And but I've seen your growth. I've seen what it's done. For your life and everything. I've seen the places, you feel me, that this Moorish temple has taken you, right? So I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, as a black man, when we get down to the brass tacks of it, what can the Moorish Science Temple, right, or what can be in the Moor do for the black community? And I know that strikes a nerve with you because that's almost like an oxymoron. When I talk to a Moor, right, about being black, I know where you want to check me at, and I'm gonna let you do your thing. But I'm gonna ask the question again for the people: what can the Moor Science Temple, or being the Moor, do for the black community?
I want to be very, 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 very candid on this response. I'm not in the Moorish Science Temple anymore, so I don't deign to speak for the Moorish Science Temple. I came out of the Moorish Science Temple, but I was once a part of the Moorish Science Temple 13 years ago. The knowledge of being a Moor is very important because it pieces the puzzle together. History is important because every time you go to the doctor, he want to get your medical history. Every time you go anywhere, they need to know the history of your car or whatever. Has it been doing it? Has it been making that sound? They need to know your history so you can see things as repeating itself, or you can know how to combat certain things. That's why astrology is important. And a lot of things are important because we need to know that these things come in cycles. Having history of the Moorish paradigm will give you an inlet to the medieval to get you to understand the policies that's being taken place right now was the same policies that were implemented, or some of the same or evolved policies or remixes to the Spanish Inquisition era. That's why that's important, because then you'll understand how to combat it or know what to look for, because everything is, what we're under the boot of is white supremacy. You'll understand it a lot more when you can understand the doctrine of discovery, because the doctrine of discovery is white supremacy is the doctrine of discovery, evolved. The doctrine of discovery has intercatera divina, dum diverses, certain things that they implemented to strip the Moors of property, to never own property again, to never gain wealth again. We talk about the racial wealth gap. You know what I'm saying? All of these things were applied back in the 1400s when they were drowning us, hanging us, burning us, running us out of Europe, converting us. So you see a lot of the same tactic being done and evolved in different ways. I don't know if you remember when that white guy, when a European man, white guy, was threatened to burn all those Qurans when Barack was president, and they had to stop him. But these are ancient things that they were already doing. What they do, they burn books. What they do, they burn down Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Alexander the Greek, or Great. That's the old ritual. You know what I'm saying? He knew they had to stop him from doing that because you're sparking. That's that ancient shit that we've been battling with them for years. The reason why that's important, because it'll teach you how to fight. We're trying to make a claim for reparations. We're trying to make a claim for redress of what we're owed. But the missing piece of the puzzle is the Moorish paradigm, because once you understand that, then you can understand the game that's being played, because the politics are the same politics. It's white supremacy in the Moors, or black, because I don't really trip off that. You know what I'm saying? Because the black and the Moor thing, I get where you're coming from. When you're activated and start really understanding, then you'll start saying more, because you'll understand it more. That's why when I post or when I'm on social media, I remind people that we're Moors, but I do what the Moors were doing to give people a framework of what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not just about being in courtrooms and then saying that we ain't no Negro, black, and color. You kind of got to demonstrate. You got to demonstrate. So it's important to know that because it can help you combat or see a lot of things that's in play now. Segregation, redlining. She was taking place in Grenada in Spain the last couple hundred years we were in Europe. Same shit where they cordoned us off from what they had going on. You'll see it a lot of the same things, so it can help you combat that. Plus, there's a certain activation once you understand the Moorish paradigm and understand that you're a Moor. It activates certain things and it'll get you inspired. Because I would have been more into history when I was younger if I'd have known these things, and I would probably became a lawyer or something to help with the fight. If I know that we started jurisprudence, that we are the author, well, that we are the creators of Latin, because Latin comes out, Spanish come out of Latin, Latin come out of Arabic, Arabic come out of Hebrew or Aramaic, so on and so forth, and then you get into our languages. It all stems from us. From an etymology standpoint, if I'd have known that when I was little, then I would have been more into it, because I know where this could go. So whenever I see a definition of Aisha, we know that that's not an English word. That's a Muslim name. Whenever you see somebody named Aisha, but then when you start tracing it, it goes deeper than that. It goes deeper than Arabic. It goes to Aramaic. It goes to Hebrew. And you get to Hebrew, then it's us. You know what I'm saying? So you would have been more involved in it if you knew these things back then. And it would activate you to be more in tune with history, more in tune with astrology, more in tune with mathematics. Because if we establish that, we established algebra, because algebra is an Arabic term. Algebra is an Arabic word.
Now, I thought I was almost done with you, but I think I got one more heavy hitter with you. One more heavy hitter for you, right? I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this, because I've heard you say the word Hebrew several times now. So I have to ask the Moor, right, his thoughts on the black Hebrew Israelites. Let's go.
There are our brothers, and I love that they take control and take the Bible back. In anything you have zealots, because you got the people that's in court, that's Moors, that it's kind of like really taking it out of whack. You know, you got grifters that come in everything, and you got people that are super, like I said, super zealots. For the most part, the Hebrew Israelites had Moorish temples called the Moorish Zionist temples. Islam and Judaism is akin. That's why I mention it so much, because I have a high respect and I study Hebrew, or I study Judaism as well, because it's all a part of the same science. It's a science. It's not a religion per se. We say religion, but not a religion. It's a science. You know what I'm saying? And it's meant to be turned over. You get what I'm saying? Like in the Hebraic faith, it's about pronunciation. It's about the inflection of your tone. It's about casting spells. It's about vibratory rate. That's why whenever you hear them speak Yiddish or Hebrew, it has a certain inflection in their tones, because that was the part of the science that we authored. You get what I'm saying? So the Hebrew Israelites are very important because they're the missing piece of the puzzle. When Drew Ali talk about Canaanite, Moabite, all of these different places, you talk about places where the Hebrew faith or Judaism was big because it's akin to Islam. Islam comes out of that, and all comes out of something else when you start tracing it back. Because if you want to know the source to a river, you follow the river upstream. So it just don't stop at Islam. Islam is the apotheosis of civilization from when we rule, but when you go back to Hebrew, then you find a whole bunch of signs there. When you go back further back and you're going back to Aramaic, or you're going back to the ancient rituals of Africa, or whatever the case may be, then the signs open up even deeper. I have an immense amount of respect for the Hebrew Israelites, the ones who are really scholars to it, though. Don't get it twisted, because there's some zealots, and I have Hebrew Israelite friends that we go at it a lot. And I have respect for them, but then there's a certain point where we just deviate and we can't talk anymore, because then it becomes not merely a matter of evidence. It comes to evolve into this article of faith. You know what I'm saying? And facts must inform faith.
So are you saying that there are some black Hebrew Israelites, and people get mad at me when I say that, there are some black Hebrew Israelites that you do respect that come with scholarship, academia.
Look, just like Islam, they have different factions of Hebrew Israelites. They got people that, you know what I'm saying, they have a bifurcation or this separation. They became a vociferous movement as well, just like Islam got sects now. So for me to say, to speak, like paint with a broad brush and say all the Hebrew Israelites, I can't do that. But there's some good scholars out there like Scion Lex, or guys that's out there doing the work and banging in the streets for African American people. You know what I'm saying? Like General Johanna, it's a few of them that's out there getting busy. And I may not agree with the certain things. I got nothing but love and respect for Scion Lex because he's a true scholar and
salute to Sister Nepal.
Yeah. These are people that really take it seriously and put scholarship behind it. Because, like I said, facts must inform faith. You shouldn't just have a faith. You have to be informed by facts. Yeah, I respect it and I embrace the wisdom that's behind the Hebrew Israelites teaching.
Now, I got another question for you. Stay right there. I got another question for you. Stay right there. Let's get back to your forte, right? Which is the Moors, right? I'm gonna ask you another brass text, black and white, simple question. When it comes down to a percentage, what's the percentage or what's the chances of me finding a person who claims to be a Moor in a Trump hat that says "Make America Great Again"? I'm gonna say that again, right? Is this a thing? Will I find? Is there a chance? And if there's a chance, give me the percentage, right, of me finding a black person who claims to be a Moor at the same time wearing a red MAGA hat.
It's hard to quantify, man, because, we see a lot of brothers.
We can't let you hit us with the Utu Wap. So I'm going to just say, let's get a little, let me give you an easier question. Has it happened before?
When you see a quote-unquote black person in a Trump hat, that's a Moor. You call him black or whatever, but what I'm saying is...
No, stop right there. I'm saying a black person who claims to be out. You see how you sitting right here talking to me, brother? You say, I'm a Moor. Knows they're a Moor and claims to publicly be a Moor. Is there a case... or is there a person from the Moor Science Temple who you've ever seen with a red MAGA hat on?
I don't know of any. I'm not that in tune with who's wearing a MAGA hat. But I haven't heard any. It hadn't come across my radar of a person that claims to be a Moor, declares themselves as a Moor in a MAGA hat. And I'm pretty sure there probably is. You search, but I hadn't seen it.
There's reasons I asked this question. My people know. I'll press a little bit harder. Have you ever met a Moor, a black person that they claim like, you know what I'm saying, that outright claim, to be a Moor, as itself, or from the Moors Science Temple? And I'm not trying to disparage anybody. I'm just trying to get my receipts. I'm trying to do my knowledge, do my research. Have you ever ran into a Moor or someone from the Moor Science Temple who you thought was cooning?
Yeah, I done ran into a few of them. We ain't gonna name no names, but I'm saying you got sycophants and you got obsequious lick spittles, and everything. You know what I'm saying? You got even in this, but even that embrace the term Moor. They want to be good little Negro Christian boys. You know what I'm saying? They claim this, but they're very genuflecting or kowtowing towards, So you got that and everything, but yeah, I've come across that before.
We appreciate your honesty. I want to go ahead. I want to give you the last word. I'll say what I gotta say. As y'all see, I pretty much been chilling. Y'all see what I'm doing, right? I'm building right another block to our content. Believe you me when I say these rebroadcasts are gonna be fire. I'm finna bust this shit down. You feel me? Like a whole bird. 36 O's. That's what I'm finna do with it. This is what we doing at the Black People's Podcast. You feel me? So salute to all of those who've been tuned in. If you've been watching and you don't have a wrench, drop a bread right now so I can give you a wrench. You feel me? We're not worried about the donations tonight. You've been backstage and we've been straight producing. We straight producing, but I want to say salute to this man for coming up to the bread box and telling the story. And you best believe this is just the beginning. He's gonna be back because we coming with the receipts. I can only give y'all so much. But 2021, you feel me? I told y'all we was gonna educate y'all. We was going to let y'all eat. You feel me? So I want to give this man the last word. You feel me? Or the last words, should I say? It's your floor. You feel me? And just talk to the people. If you have anything you want to promote, any message you want to get across to the people, it doesn't matter. It's your floor. Let's go.
I really appreciate you for inviting me on the platform. It's long overdue. And hopefully I'm invited back. We can go in deeper on a lot of topics that we spoke over, because we can damn sure chop some heads off on a lot of topics, especially with this onslaught of the African male in this country. But I digress. You can follow me on IG under Mus'ab Yasir Bey or Moorish Emperor. You can follow me on Twitter under Mus'ab Yasir Bey. You can find me on Facebook under Mus'ab Yasir Bey. Right now, I'm working on an article called, I'm just getting it edited. The editor just sent it back, but it's called The Villainy and the Medical Culpability. And it's en route to the book that I'm working on towards the end of the year called The Villainy and Their Culpability. It's about white supremacy and naming names of the people who are in those pictures of the hangings to see how they fared. When I come back, we'll get deeper into what I'm working on there. Yeah.
So are you saying you're doing?
You can't just.
Wait. No, I'm not gonna let you blow by that. So are you saying, if I heard you correctly, you can't get none past me? Are you saying, sir, that you've done a where are they?
Where are they now?
Let me see.
That's a great way to put it too. I didn't think about it like that. Where are they now? The book.
You've done your version of the where are they now of the murderous
White supremacists.
KKK
Okay.
white supremacists in history.
I just finished the article, Villainy and the Medical Culpability. Now, I wanted to touch on certain things in the article. We're going to put it up with my brothers, hopefully, on the Gentleman's History Hour website, and we'll promote it through that way. I'm working on a couple of different articles. And shout out, go follow the Gentleman's History Hour as well. But I did this en route to the bigger work that I'm working on, and this is kind of like what you said, where are they now? Because I wanted to be able to contribute something to the black community like Tariq Nasheed did with Hidden Colors. I think that one of the things that was never concentrated on was having a book about the white supremacists in these pictures of these hangings. Now, we see all of these pictures of brothers' charred bodies burning, and you have these white people smiling and cheesing, grinning from ear to ear, and little kids eating cotton candy and licking lollipops around these black corpses. What I wanted to do and what I didn't see people doing was or they were scared to name the names that are in these pictures. And what I did was kind of gleaned and culled the data and tried to start a work that maybe could be piggybacked off of later on of who these people were in these pictures. And we did that by, drawing up maps and being able to find little places like maybe Booley, Oklahoma, or whatever. And we got some of the courthouse records and some of the census to know who these people were, or to kind of extract and kind of narrow it down to see how these people fared and with their wealth, and see how these people fared in life and who are akin to some of these people. Because, we uncovered a lot. So, we dug so deep, you may never know. We might have found descendants of Mitch McConnell cheesing next to these dead bodies of my great-great-grandfather. So I wanted to do that to add my piece to the reparation push and to get the federal government more responsive to the HR 40 argument, and to put the private sector on blast who were hanging these people, because a lot of that stuff went down on courthouse lawns. So I wanted to kind of name names in it, because I read hundreds and hundreds of books, but nobody touched on who these people were in these pictures of brothers hanging.
Let me ask you a question, Moore. Let me ask you a question, because this touched homes, because people don't realize that we're not that far removed from slavery. So people don't realize that, and I'm going to show them on the rebroadcast, some of these little babies that we're watching smiling while this black man is hanging from the fucking tree. Let me say that again. Some of these white babies that we're watching in this in this photo that I'm showing you right now, that are watching this black man hang from the trees. Some of these white babies are, as my man said, senators right now. Some of these white babies are judges right now. Some of these white babies are police chiefs right now. Y'all don't understand how necessary this is, what this man is talking about. You don't understand.
I'm trying to give the names of those white babies and see who they are now. You see, that's the thing. We'll look at these pictures, but we'll be like, oh, look at that. Because what inspired me was I had a picture called Hit the Nigger Baby. Google that. Put that in your search engine. Hit the Nigger Baby. And it's like a moonwalker or a company that comes out to your house back in, I believe it was Wisconsin. But they had a whole business that you could contact them out of a newspaper, get them to your home, a whole layout, where they find this little African-American baby that's 2 years old, sit them up on a stage, and let 2 to 5 year olds throw baseballs at him to try to knock the baby out. Now, when I saw those pictures, it inspired me, because I wanted to know who were promoting the Hit the Nigger Baby, who owned the company, who set up this moonwalker jumper type of deal. And all that was important to me, because you look at a picture and you're like, oh no, that's sad. They used to do this and that. But I want to hold somebody responsible for it. So I have the idea from looking at that. And that's going to be a part of the book too. It's Hit the Nigger Baby photo. But we found more information about the Hit the Nigger Baby business to see who was getting paid, how much money they got paid, because it's a business. So they have to keep up with books and keep track of certain finances. So, it's really, I'm careening on dangerous grounds, because if I publish this, it's going to be real. They're going to want to throw cocktail bombs in my window, but I don't, I'm a Muslim, I don't care. But my point is, I wanted to put this on blast and have my contributions so that maybe somebody else could piggyback off of it and do a more expansive, or maybe expand on the idea of calling out these white supremacists in these photos. So, we can get past this passive voice writing when it comes to these old pictures. Looking at these pictures like, oh, there was just those guys. No, those guys were coaches, the milkman, the mailman, the judges, the lawyers. They were active in the community. They was head varsity football coaches who were hanging around these trees, who was hanging around these bodies that swung from trees, or these brothers that were strapped to logs being burnt alive. These were well-known people in the community that spoke to these brothers every day. So that's what inspired me.
Let me ask you a question, because again, I keep trying to wrap this up, but again, we're tapping in, and I can't leave any stone unturned, right? So I'm gonna ask you a simple question because I think that you could educate us and you could give me some insight, right? What's your thought when Breadman tells you, right, that when people speak of reparations, when the black community talks about reparations, that it should not only involve talking about money, it should not only involve talking about opportunity, it should not only involve talking about equality and leveling the playing field, right, and retribution, but it should also involve justice, true retribution. Meaning, I don't give a fuck if you here or not. You left money. You left money, didn't you? You left property, didn't you? You left shit to people who still possess it. What do you say more when I say that my reparations should also include justice from these same people that you plan to expose. So now we're talking about their babies, their kids' money, their kids' money. We're talking about property. We're talking about should we not have access? Should we not be owed? Talk to me.
I wanted to hold off on talking about this because really that's the aim of my book that I'm working on, to help that part out. You see, my motive behind the book is to be able to add my piece to the reparation argument, because it's not about just money. Because the money is it's like earnest payment on a house. The money is just to say, hey, look, we're finna take care of all that other stuff too. It's to say that, okay, when you lay down earnest money, that's for the dude that's selling the house, to keep the house, and while you go get it inspected, go get whatever you know what I'm saying, just to say we finna deal. The money is the small part of it. Even though we're owed a lot, the biggest portion is all the other stuff that have to take place that you need to repair us from, you know.
Revenge, justice, retribution, accountability, blood.
Insulated from a lot of stuff that's because we're going to experience blowback too. So we need to have that on deck, ready for the blowback for that, because we are in a white supremacist country. So anything that we get or perceived to be a buoy or a boon of success for us, then they're going to burn down things. That's what they do. They storm shit. They hunt black people down. We need to have something to ensure that they will be punished or to safeguard us against that. Because if we get reparations, and when we get it, there's going to be upheaval in this country, because we're in a country filled with white supremacists all around us.
What's your thoughts more? What is your thoughts? And what is your stance on Malcolm X and using violence to protect and defend the black community?
I'm with that. I've always been about that. You know, I mean, it was always asinine to turn the other cheek with me, and that's against your natural inclination as a man or a woman to be able to, you know, do something like that. But violence is always on the table. You know, you got to fight it with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's very important. You know, I'm for guns. I'm for carrying handguns. I'm for protecting yourself.
We are in Texas, right? So I have to ask you, black man, are you a registered gun owner?
Yeah, I am. I've been for a couple of years now. And that's very important, and I make sure that all my friends around me are too. If they can get it or whatever we need to do to get them that, but I make sure that we all are registered gun license carriers, and we're packing them pistols. That's for sure. You know, that's a must. Dealing with white supremacy, you definitely.
All right, brother. All right, let me. I'm sorry. Let me get back up, man. I gotta say, see, this is what I mean, and this is what I'm talking about. And I don't need nobody to sign off on this. I had people talking to me behind the scenes, right? Salute to the bread gang. Salute to the bread gang. So that's how I know I'm doing, and we're doing the hard work that don't nobody else want to do. I'm doing the hard work then, no, because y'all niggas need an audience to drop knowledge. You niggas need views. You gotta do numbers to enlighten, you feel me, and give niggas the basic one-on-ones. You understand what I'm saying? On shit niggas should already know. Don't nobody else want to do this work. Don't nobody else want to do this work. But this is what we doing at the Black People's Podcast, because this is not just a fly-by-night platform. It takes work. You're going to see, my guy, continuously, but we had to establish a baseline in it for anybody. If you got any problems, if you got any issues, if you got any questions, if you object, my lines is always open. 832-591-1641. You can call right now. Or you can leave the message in the chat. I'll read it out. We take all comers. He will be back. But we had to establish baseline. I was ready for the shits. But then I felt my brother's energy, and I felt there was a necessity to educate the people, let the people learn. Because this is what we do at the Black People's Podcast with Breadman. I don't claim to know everything, but I guarantee you this. If you got a question and you need an answer, I'm going to find the perfect person, you feel me, to bring you that information. That's what we're working on. That's what we're doing at the Black People's Podcast. So salute to all who are still tuned in. If you don't have a wrench, drop a bread loaf, drop anything right now in the chat so I can give you a wrench right now. Other than that, I'm going to drop a couple of tracks. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat so we can get them out. I'm going to read the comments, and we're going to be up out of here. We got 15 more minutes. That's an hour and 45 minutes. I'm finna drop a deuce on you niggas. I'm finna freestyle for 15 minutes. You good? We good? I'm finna freestyle for 15 minutes with you niggas. I got 15 minutes to freestyle with you niggas. Salute, salute, salute. You're tuned in to the Black People's Podcast. You're witnessing the hard work. The hard work that nobody else want to do. This is what we're doing. It takes time. It takes dedication. It takes passion. You feel me? You feel me? Salute, 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 salute to H-Time, man. We still throw, man, as always. Salute to Pimp C, salute to Bun B, man. R.I.P. Pimp C. Oh, let me get to my YouTube. I'm lacking. We keeping it simple because I want to keep some of these lives up, so we keeping it simple. We keeping it simple, but salute to all of you guys who are tuned in. I appreciate your support. Matter of fact, fuck that. I'm digging in the crates. I'm digging in the crates tonight. Right? I'm digging in the crates tonight. Let me get up. Where we going with this? Because I don't give a fuck what you niggas talking about. That shit was fire. You gotta go back to Sonetta goddamn 2013, nigga, to get what you just got tonight, nigga. You feel me? This nigga, what we doing, nigga, is different. It's different at the Black People's Podcast. We'll pick up that torch. We'll pick up that torch. The people still need to be educated. They still need to eat. Do you understand what I'm saying? You tuned in to the Black People's Podcast. Make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe. We freestyle. Let's go. My G, I appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you, bro.
Yo, I appreciate you, my G. Huh? You could have been anywhere. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you was here. I'm not done. I'm not done with you niggas. I'm not done with you niggas. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you was here with us. Freddie D, you good? You could have been anywhere in the world, but you was here with us. I'm gonna send y'all off with a couple of them. I'm gonna hit y'all up the upside the head with a couple more. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get an alley-hoop. To my special guest, cause I want to make sure we end in the proper spirit. So when we're talking about the Moors, when we're talking about the true traveling black man, you feel me? What song comes to mind, my G? If I was to ask you what is your theme song? What's your theme song to your life, Moore? What would you suggest?
That's a good question, man. You're making me really thumb through my mind.
Take your time. Take your time. We ain't in no rush. Take your time. We ain't in no rush.
Man, you got it so laid back and smooth right now, man. I'm trying to think, man. J Electronica.
Oh.
I want to say.
This nigga said J Electronica.
And I'm thinking either the Shiny Suit Theory or the Announcement.
You might get a shut. Look, you might get a shut down, nigga. You would. And it's funny how these type of niggas, right? They only drop albums like every blue moon and shit, but these niggas copyrights, you feel me? All these the niggas business be proper. But I'm gonna jump out the window. And play a nigga shit anyway. Cause that last shit that came out, that shit he did with Jay-Z was fire. But what you talking about? I don't know where you taking it. Jay Electronica. Which Jay Electronica you talking about?
You gotta take it to the Announcement or either Shiny Suit Theory. But go with the Announcement. The Announcement. Got that Kennedy speech at the beginning of it.
He sounds very, very sure of himself. Let's go.
Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest deserves the best of all mankind. And its opportunity for peaceful cooperation may never come again. But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize
your crew inferior, my crew inferior. MC killers, milk and cereal. Get it? Forget it. You'll still be connecting the dots with smoking holes and you'll fit it. Those that gotta be all at the shows throwing fitters. The light from the dynasty sign froze all the critics and nary soul got on their frog toes to rip it. Shh, 'twas the night before the coming. Sugar plum candy coated lines for the dummies. Decoded hieroglyphics in the shrines for the mummies. We not Illuminati, but our eyes on the money. My mind's on the scripture, it's beautiful. I see every line on the picture. So when the leaves rustle and the cock crows winter, just know that the black gods mingled a bit. Then the fingers got pricked, then the single got picked. Man, I'm living out my brain, I don't dream about shit. If I say dream, I meant dream. Fresh, not Hampton. I got a date with destiny, I'm definitely not canceling. Romancing, the stone, the rock. The throne, the elegant celebration sent tremors through every nation. The stars align like cars at Grand Central Station. Elevation, yours truly, my duty and obligation. A newly appointed ruler who move with no observation like WD. Say my name on the record, WW3. I put you niggas in the box like the WB. Here's a footnote on the blueprint. Whom's fucking with we? Yeah, bad grammar, widescreen panorama, paranormal activity seen on the camera. So if you want that turmoil, I'll Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, World Star you. Rap radar, not right, too dope boy you. Your plans is for you, your guns is borrowed. We living in tomorrow, a tissue for your sorrow. A tissue for your sorrow. For your sorrow, 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 for your sorrow.
You tuned in to the Black People's Podcast. We about to get up out of here. You feel me? I was just telling my guy, yo, we did the damn thing. We did the damn thing, and I gotta have you back because I know what it's gonna do. But I had to give y'all the groundwork. You best believe when y'all see this brother on the podcast next time, it's going to be a lot more sinister. I had to certify his credentials first. Salute to Neil deGrasse Titan. Salute to Neil deGrasse Titan. I had to solidify his credentials first. Can you dig it? It's power to the people, man. You know the damn deal. If you don't know the damn deal, ask Breadman. What's the damn deal? I'ma holler at y'all boys, man. Hold it down.
Berry, the sweeter the juice. You got that juice. You got that juice. You got the juice. You got that power. Yeah, power to the people. Yeah, all power to the people. Yeah, the power's in the people. In the streets mobbing, repping good over evil. Look, power to the people. Yeah, all power to the people. Powers in the people, burning and looting, repping good over evil.
Look, the power's in the people. Should've asked for equity, but we rather be equal. Let my people go, Prince of Egypt, this the sequel. Could never give up the precious, watch them burn just like Smeagol, it's the Ock. Giving life like an Ankh. We went from Chaldea, but ended on Plymouth Rock. We went from Black Tulsa to Section 8 out and watch. Judas and the Black Messiah, them crackers, they want me shot. That's the truth too. Black man magic, I might hit they ass with voodoo. Took the Bible but left the land. Desmond Tutu, we only blind black at this point. Go grab your who's who. I rep that north side till I die, and that's a blues clue. Look, I ain't never want the recognition. All praises due, man. We in full submission. Now that I got your attention, you should know you got that juice too. Non-GMO, please don't let them people fool you.
Power, yeah, power to the people. Yeah, all power to the people. Yeah, the power's in the people. In the streets mobbing, repping good over evil. Look, power to the people. Yeah, all power to the people. Yeah. Powers in the people, burning and looting, repping good over evil. Look.